I wanted to ask you, like everything that you talk about. I mean, I actually listened to it. I think I have a pretty good grasp about it. Making money, having a good job, and everything. Spinning plays in your 30s and 40s, that's fine. But then, what is the end game for men when they go older, like 50 and 60? What do you think should be the end game? If you have money, if you have
Define
everything
end
else,
game to me, so I understand what you mean.
I mean, even if you're in your 50s and 60s and you end up with women when they're like 25 and 30,
Hmm.
and they still cheat on you and they still flake on you.
Hmm.
You got to be there for them for money. You got to be there for them for, about wining them, dining them, and everything.
Hmm.
So, I mean, what is the man supposed to do in that age when he gets to that age?
Okay, so you're talking about the end game as it relates to women and relationships.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah,
Well, look, man, like here's the thing. Like I'm a product of the 70s, right? People ask me how old I am. I just say, I was born in the 70s, so you can figure it out. But I'm getting close to that demographic.
yeah.
Um, what's the end game? I don't know. What's the best way to answer that
I
aside
mean, I mean
from
to I mean to give you an example of somebody who's rich and famous. I mean like DiCaprio, he's in his 40s
yeah,
and he's been dating women all through his 30s and everything. But then
yeah,
when he's gonna go to the age of like 50 and 60, eventually he would probably need to settle down with a woman. He would probably need to simp for her and then have babies with her if he wants to do it. I don't know if he wants to do it. He's like the alpha male or something who probably doesn't have to do any of that shit. He can probably live to like 80 or 90 and then
yeah.
just keep dating models and everything. I mean, that's the
Well,
way to go.
it really depends on how you structured your life, how well you've unplugged from society's comforting lies, what your objectives are, and what your goals are. Because when you ask me the question, I think about it. And I'm like, who fucking cares, right? Like, she's there, she's not there. I mean, do I want my girlfriend to be there in the future? Yeah, I like her, I dig her vibe. But if she chooses not to be there, I'll be okay with that too, right?
Yeah.
As far as like a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, if you look at famous actors like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, they're both old as shit. Like they're in their 70s and 80s, and they both just had kids,
Yeah. And
right?
then I think Pacino is going through some problems with this girl and everything about the
Who
kid and
cares?
seems like,
He's got
it's all that
so
shit.
much money. He's just
Yeah.
like, whatever, I've scattered my seed one more time. I don't know how many kids has he got now, 7 or 8 or something like that. Right.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think
like
so. I think he's in his
he just
80s.
gives the 20-year-old, whatever she needs. She wants to bounce. He doesn't give a fuck. He's 80. Right. The fact that he's able to reproduce even at 80s, he's probably just happy with that. So I think that the question is, what is it that matters to you, and how do you want to engineer your life so that when you're older, as you say, like as men grow older, you're getting what you want out of life. Like I'm pretty sure Leonardo DiCaprio has a plan. I've never seen him interviewed. I've never seen him answer questions around this that I'm aware of. If somebody's aware of it, send me the interview or the article or whatever's out there, but I've never seen it. But if I were to venture a guess, I would probably say Leonardo DiCaprio is probably the kind of guy that will start popping out a bunch of kids,
Hmm.
maybe with one woman, maybe with multiple women.
Yeah.
And even at that point, I doubt that he's going to be faithful to them, because that's how he's run his entire life. Or he could just get to the point where he's like, fuck it, I don't care. I've already, slept with a bunch of women. I've seen everything. This one here is 10 out of 10, right? So I'm going to dedicate, any spare time that I feel like jamming into that with her. So
I mean, you can also take the example of Messi. I mean, Messi was in love with the girl since his childhood, and
mhm,
then they have a family and they have kids. He's got like tons of money. He's worth like what $350 million or something,
mhm.
or four. So I mean, you can also have those kind of lifestyle where you can have a family value and you can also have a career. But it's very hard for men to actually find that kind of woman nowadays. Because I mean, in the
Well,
past
if you
two
want to be
years or
spoiled for
so,
choice, if you want to find that kind of woman, like if there's a unicorn kind of woman that you
no,
idealize,
no, they're not.
the
They're not. Because I've been dating women in the past 2 years. I've been with like five, six women, and dude, every single game plan turns to shit
yeah.
when she starts flaking and when she starts
So then you
doing
just
her
replace her.
women thing. I mean, yeah, you
So then
just
you
you just
just replace her.
replace her. So
Yeah.
it's like every woman I've been with, whether it's somebody I've been seeing for like 2 months or
Yeah,
whether
but I mean,
I've
like,
been
here's the
seeing for
thing:
six
is that
months, it's just
is
instant
it
shit.
sounds like to me like you're investing too heavily in the notion that it's going to turn into something. And I said this earlier today on Twitter. Um, Hang on a second, let me just dig it up, because there was this viral clip that just went nuts on Twitter. With some girl that was being interviewed, and she said something along the lines of, I need a guy to spend at least $200 on a first date. And the guy interviewing her was like, well, what are you doing for the $200? She said, well, you get my presents. I have to spend money on makeup and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
where is it here? Uh, Man, this timeline gets so congested here on Twitter X. I keep calling it Twitter, even though it's X. Anyway, the point that I was making is that you want to choose women and
Hmm.
invest in women that show you that they're worth something first. Otherwise, they're worth nothing.
Right.
I can spend $2,000 on a date, on a first date, if I want. I don't give a fuck. She doesn't get a dime of that. She gets a coffee or a drink. If I'm single and I'm going out dating, she gets a coffee or drink, because that's all I have time for. I have 1 hour for them to demonstrate to me that they're worth me taking them out again, because
Hmm.
that's who I am and that's where I see myself. And they're going to see that value because of how I hold myself out to the world. So if she's into that, if she's following that lead, if she's entering my frame, if she wants to spend more time with me, if she shows she has genuine burning desire, then I'll spend more time with her. But if she's flaky, if she's disinterested, if you have to spend $200 to take me on a date, get fucked. I have options, and I'm busy and I have things to do. Right. So the point that I'm making here, my friend, is focus on you, focus on yourself, build yourself up so that you're in a position so that things like this don't bother you. You don't contemplate what's the end game as I get older, right? You know that you have options, because there's no end to life. Like, for me as it stands right now, I don't see an end game to anything in my life. I don't see an end game to me not working, not traveling, like any of these things. I'll do it as long as I'm physically healthy enough to do it, and I'm in
Right.
great shape
Yeah.
and I take care of myself. So I see that as a very long runway, right? So
Yeah.
I think this is more about turning around, like 180 degrees, and rethinking the way that you're approaching getting older and looking at women. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, I'm in my 40s. I'm like 42 right now. I have a
Mhm.
six-figure job. I'm closing in about $500,000 in investments and everything. So I have like a 10 to 15-year plan. What do I want to do? But I'm just thinking, when I'm 60 and 65, I mean, am I still going to be spinning plates if I'm
Well, what do you
rich
want
as
to do? Do
fuck?
you want to have
Or
kids? Do you want to spin plates? Do you want to rack up notches? Do you want a
well, I already
girlfriend?
have a son. When I was younger, I have a son, so I'm
Yeah,
probably working. So when he grows up, and I tell him about the red pill stuff all the time. He's
yeah,
12, and he knows so much shit about it that it just scares me that I didn't know about it when I
good.
was 25. That he knows at the age of 12. So
Mhm.
I want him to grow up as a man who's somebody who knows about the
Okay, but do you want to
uh
have more
about
kids?
the woman. No, fuck
Okay,
no.
okay, so that's fine. So
So I just want
children
to focus
aren't
on my son, but then
okay.
I'm thinking about I want to make money for him. I want to be able to settle down for
No,
his
no,
life.
don't ever make money for your children. Show them, like, you never give your kids fish. You show them how to fish.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Spend the money
I
on
just wanted to.
yourself. Spend the money on your
Oh,
life. Enjoy it,
I am
but
spending
show them how
money,
to
and
fish.
I was just thinking about, like, when you're 60 and 65, and if you're still are not able to find the right woman, do you have to keep spinning plates until you drop dead, or like what the plan is? I don't know.
I think you're. It still sounds to me like you're too invested in women and making them a part of you feeling some level of accomplishment as you get older, like the end game. Like, to me, the notion of end game is like
I guess,
the
Rich, the thing
finish
is
line,
that, when it comes to women now, I don't know what they bring to the table besides sex. They
right?
don't really bring anything. They don't fucking bring anything
So
besides
why do you
drama
care
and
about them so
chaos.
much? So why do you care about them so much if
Because I guess
that's all you're seeing?
it's just the way that my parents were or my grandparents were, the
Yeah.
family values and stuff, and
Yeah, but
having a
that's cultural though,
household.
right?
I thought it was everywhere, whether in the US or in the Mid East or something. I think
Mm,
families were there and they were together for the sake of their kids.
mhm.
But now women have their own agenda about, oh, everything has to be about me, and the
Yeah,
men
I
can
know, man,
go
because women have
suck.
changed. Like, it's funny that because there's a chapter in my next book where I describe this avatar of Becky, right? And it's like
Yeah,
this, this
younger Karen.
avatar is like the modern woman. And she has her own job. She doesn't need no man. She's got her own apartment. It's furnished the way that she likes it. She has her friends. She has her, her sisters and her little network, and they do their stuff together. And it's like they keep hearing from all these different angles, woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. And it's like, look, if that's the vast majority of the women out there and they're not suitable for long-term relationships, then just accept it. Surrendering to the reality of the world is a skill that you have to learn as an unplugged man. The sun is hot, water is wet. I cannot breathe if I tried to walk into the ocean underwater. If I stay out in the sun, I will get a sunburn and I will pay the price for that. So you have to surrender to certain realities of the world. And one of the realities of the world that we live in today is women are really not the greatest anymore. They're not generally marriage type of material. Fewer and fewer of
Facts.
them are worthy of a long-term relationship or inviting into your life in a long-term basis. So just accept that for what it is. Do your thing, chase excellence, spend time with your kid, hang out with a network of top shelf men, do cool shit with them, right? That's part of the reason why I created my community. This guys wanted to do cool shit and hang out with top shelf men. So if a girl comes along that fits your frame and is a complement to it, not the focus of your life, and she comes to you and says, hey, son of Krypton, we've been seeing each other for a while. I'm not seeing anybody else. Where do we stand? Where's this going? I really dig your vibe. And you look at her and she's like, okay, she's got none of the red flags, or she's got one and she's really working on it, right? Like she's serious about,
There
it
was
being a
this
good compliment to your life. That's
there
when
was
you
this
sit
one
back and
girl.
go, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll contemplate it.
See, the funny thing is that there was this one girl that was really nice and everything, but the physical connection and everything, the sex, it wasn't there. It's just weird. Like some of the women you have
Yeah.
the best sex with, they're crazy as shit. I don't know how else to put it. It's just the way things are. And then some of the
It
women who
is
are
what it is,
nicest,
man.
so supportive, and you don't feel shit with them in bed. It's like, what the hell is going on, man? Why can't I find
The
that one woman where you feel everything with her? It's
Yeah,
just
and
crazy.
it's very difficult to find that all in one check. So I'll wrap it up on this note because I've got a few other people that I got to take into.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
As women get older, because you're 42, so what age range do you normally date in?
Uh, the youngest I was with was like 22,
Yeah,
not over 30 for sure. So everyone was like between 22 and 30.
20 to okay, 30. So as women get older, and you're dating relatively young, which is good for you, but as they tend to get older, they tend to accumulate more and more baggage.
Yes.
Right? He hurt me. He cheated on me. He pushed me down the stairs. He was a drug addict. He was an alcoholic. He did this or that. And then as they get older, they have, more opportunities to be with more men. They often become single mothers more often. They can have STDs more often. They have more abortions more often. It's like all of this shit that they carry around is just baggage.
It's too much
And
baggage.
they
Yes.
bring it into your life. And it's like, you don't need any of that, right? Like if
Nope.
you're a man on a grind, you're putting a dent in the universe, you're successful, you don't need that weighing you down. You just don't. So again, you just look at it for what it is. Water is wet, the sun is hot. Treat things as they are. Don't expect them to be something that they're not, because they never will be, right? Like you can't have the expectation of a chick that's shared her body with 20 guys, had 2 abortions, got beat up by one boyfriend, had a DV, false DV, like all these things that pile up in their life in their head to be good long-term relationship material, right? Like you need women that hold themselves to standards and are accountable. And very
Yeah.
few women can do that today because they're told not to. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here and pin down below in the top comment. You'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.